What y'all got going YouTube? They saying he killed his wife during a conjugal visit at prison. Now I know he ain't dick her down to death. That's crazy.
Investigators trying to figure out what killed a woman who was visiting her husband in prison. She died back on November 13th at Mule Creek State Prison in Ione.
A few moments later.
4 months after a woman died while visiting an inmate at Mule Creek State Prison, we've learned her death is now deemed a homicide.
She was strangled.
62-year-old Stephanie Dowles from the Los Angeles area died at Mule Creek State Prison in Ione on November 13th at about 2 in the morning. Her family tells us she was visiting her husband, 54-year-old David Brinson. He's been in prison since 1994, and court records show a jury convicted Brinson of 4 counts
30
of
years and y'all
he was
married?
sentenced
God.
to 4 consecutive
Damn,
life
y'all need a
terms
conjugal
without the
or
possibility
something.
of parole.
No
But he
way.
was allowed family visits. So it was during one of those visits that Dowles died. We know she was a hairstylist and a small business owner, and she was very close with her community in Southern California.
Yo, YouTube, what's going on? Trey back again, hit y'all another video. Hope y'all having a very great day. Hope y'all having a very great week. My day is going absolutely blessed. Big shout out to
Give
all the
us the
channel
story
members,
on this
subscribers,
one.
the Trey King Show family, and much love to each and every last one of you all. And you all, we have a story out of California by way of our own. And big shout out to everybody in the great state of California, everybody outside the great city of our own. Now, before I start this story, I want to send a special thank you out to my channel members and also to my subscribers for sending me this story. And also, keep these stories coming. Now, as you all may know, I tell y'all all the time to be careful with who you align yourself with in life because you just never know the outcome. As in the case of this story right here, where we have a woman who goes by the name of Stephanie Dowles, 62 years old, who was murdered, yes, murdered by her prison husband, 54-year-old David Brinson. Now, this is an update from a story I did roughly last November, where the story first
He
said
probably
that
found
we
out
had
she
a
gave that
woman who went
coochie
and
up.
seen her husband doing a conjugal
Had a
visit,
body after
and
that one.
unfortunately, the woman passed away some kind of way.
Investigators trying to figure out what killed a woman who was visiting her husband in prison.
Now, when the story first aired November the 13th, we did not know how she died, but we knew things were quite suspicious. And we wasn't the only one that found Stephanie's death suspicious. Also, the prison, Mule Creek State Prison that is, found the death suspicious along with the coroner. And now when the story was first reported, it stated that Stephanie Dowles, 62 years old, went to Mule Creek State Prison to see her husband during a conjugal visit. Now, some of you all may not know what a conjugal visit is, and some of you all may know what a conjugal visit is. A conjugal visit is basically between family, like husband and wife and children. And the way the Mule Creek State Prison has their conjugal visit set up is the security staff have to approve it, the prison have to approve it, and also the person that you are trying to see to get to come visit you have to prove it also, and that person must sign a waiver just in case anything happens. Because you got to understand, you're not going to a church, you're going to a state prison where we have hardcore killers at, as in the case of David Brinson. And now, unfortunately, on November 13th, Stephanie Dowles was visiting her husband, David Brinson, where it was said that
They say just after 2 o'clock in the morning, the inmate called prison guards
They
to
met
say
in
his
prison?
wife
I
had
mean, while he
passed
was in
out.
prison or
David Brinson
before,
had
though?
alerted the security staff that Stephanie Dowles had passed out. But lo and behold, we found out that was a lie. Now, after calling the security staff to come to the apartment style place where they was
Passed
visiting
out.
at, that's when security noticed
You got
Stephanie Dowles unconscious.
choked
And they
out.
immediately called for security and also called for the ambulance. But unfortunately, roughly like 40-some minutes later, Stephanie Dowles was pronounced deceased. And everybody found it quite suspicious because number one, Stephanie Dowles was perfectly fine when she came and seen David Brinson. So what took place between those hours where they was left alone?
She probably
Those
cheated. I'm
conjugal visits
telling
that some
you,
of
she
those inmates get
cheated.
are a privilege to those inmates. So you have to earn it. It's not given to you.
Nah, I
So
don't
you
know.
would
I'm
think
bullshitting, y'all.
someone
I'm
just have a
bullshitting. Chill
privilege
out.
and so
Chill
far as
out.
being able to go be intimate with their wife, spend time with their wife one-on-one, they would appreciate that. This goes to show you how much people really appreciate you and respect what you have done for them. Some folks do not give a damn. But they also have an old saying, family, past behavior is a great indicator for what? future behavior. So if you have somebody who's already in prison for killing 4 people,
24-year-old David Brinson.
He
He's been in
already
prison
had
since
4 bodies.
1994, and court records show a jury convicted Brinson of 4 counts of murder.
And let me explain to you all
How can he
why the
get
reason
visits
why
with 4
David
bodies?
Brinson was in prison. And now David Brinson was convicted of murder back in
The
'93,
fuck they
where
got
he
going?
killed 4 people during a robbery. And it was said that David Brinson, along with 2 accomplices, broke inside this man's apartment and killed the man along with his roommate and also 2 people that were visiting the man. They was going to watch a football game, the story goes. And not only did David Brinson kill everybody inside the apartment, but he also killed these people execution style. That's why they gave him 4 life sentences along with an extra 20 years due to the nature of how he killed these people. So I'm going to ask you all this. Why would a woman, or why would anybody, but especially a woman, since that's what we're talking about, why would a woman want to go spend time with somebody like that? I mean, out of all the men in the world, now I know the pickings are slim. I'm not trying to be funny.
Nah,
I'm
the
not trying
pickings
to tell
ain't
you who to
slim.
fuck.
They love
But at the
that
same
shit.
time, out of all
They
the men in the
love that
world,
shit.
why would you choose to marry a convicted felon who's in prison for 4 life sentences plus 20 years for murdering
She
4 people?
tweaked out.
And lo and behold, Stephanie Dowles became the 5th person. But as the story goes, also, just to give you a little background on Stephanie Dowles was a mother. Yeah, she had 2 sons. And to her sons, I am very sorry for your loss. And I know that you all try to talk to her along with the mom, as you all see. Now, the mom used to warn Stephanie Dowles.
Ain't gonna lie, you do that to my mama, I'm committing a crime just to get in there, boy. And when I catch you, just know.
before this took place that you cannot save everybody, because some of us had that attitude where we try to save everything, everybody we see, and every animal. But you cannot try to save everybody, because guess what? Saving them, you'll end up losing who? Yourself, as in the case of this story right here. So they always have a saying, warning comes before destruction. But you also have people calling out the prison. They mad at the prison. But at the same time, you got to understand this right here. You got to understand what you're dealing with. You signed up for this, because I know Stephanie Dowles did not know that this man was going to kill her. But at the same time, family, you got to think about this. And the reason why I said that, if this man is low down enough to murder 4 people, shoot them in the back of their head, execution style, doing a robbery, what do you think he would do to you? And true enough, some of you all might be saying, well, Trey, that happened 31, 32 years ago. It doesn't matter. That's who he is. Because guess what? Evidently, he never changed.
And court records show a jury convicted Brinson of 4 counts of murder, and he was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole.
So after David Brinson was convicted of 4 murders back in 1993, he was sentenced to the California Department of Corrections in 1994, where he entered the prison system. Because anytime you get in trouble and you never been to the prison system, they're going to automatically take you out to jail, especially for charges like this, and send you to the state penitentiary. Now, David Brinson was not at Mule Creek the whole time. He did not wind up at Mule Creek to guess when, family? August 28th of last year. So this man was only at Mule Creek State Penitentiary for only 2.5 months before he killed Stephanie
A couple
Dowles. Think
months.
about that. And the question I have to the prison, yes, Mule Creek that is,
Got
and also
straight to
to the
it.
Department of Corrections in California,
That's an evil
what did this
motherfucker right
man
here,
do
boy.
so good to make you all want
Evil
to allow him to
motherfucker.
have conjugal visit? Answer that for me. Because as you all see, conjugal visits are a privilege. So you already know that he just came to this prison. So how in the hell was he allowed this visit? That's what I want to know. And also it says, as you all see at the bottom, that he had
They must
already
ain't read his
received 4
file or
serious
something.
violations, 4 serious write-ups, what they call incidents reports. Now, you would think by California Department of Corrections having this information that they will keep a close eye on David Brinson. So this is what I want to know right here, family, in closing. Why would the California Department of Corrections, Mule Creek State Prison that is, allow this man who's in prison for 4 life sentences, which means he's not going to get out. He's going to die in prison. He has natural life.
Oh, he gonna die in prison for sure. I would have put his ass in solitary for the next fucking 30 years, boy. 1 meal a day. I would have had his ass fasting the whole fucking time. Fuck that. Or give him the chair and just say fuck it.